Shalom. Welcome back, friends, brothers, sisters. Today I'm going to talk about the great patriarch himself, Abraham. Abraham, yes. Father of the faithful, father of the multitude. And we'll start off. Genesis chapter 12 is the beginning of Abraham. Now, Abraham, he lived in Ur. He was called by Yahweh to get out of his home country, take all of his possessions, family, servants, everybody, and go to a land that Yahweh was going to give to him. In the chapter, or verse 1 of 12, now Yahweh has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from the kindred, and from the father's house, unto a land that I will show you. And in verse 2 right here, it says, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, thou shalt be blessing. And 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that cursed thee, and in thee shall all families of earth be blessed. So, what did Abraham do? Verse 4 says, so Abraham departed, as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and took Lot with him, his nephew. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed. He departed at 75. That's pretty much an old age. But he departed. And now, let's go to chapter 13. Chapter 13 talks about Abraham and Lot, his nephew Lot. They parted ways because their herds were actually, it was too many of them in a concentrated area. So the servants of Lot and Abraham started disagreeing. And what did Abraham do? He gave Lot the best part of the land. He asked him, what do you want? Do you want this land? Do you want this part? He's like, I'll give you the best, And Lot took his, they went their ways, but that doesn't mean they hated each other or anything like that. They just separated and parted ways. Now, Lot got in some trouble in chapter 14. He was with a lot of other people who got kidnapped by these kings, these certain kings, and word got back to Abraham about his Lot and his family, servants, and others that were kidnapped by these kings. So what did Abraham do? He took a bunch of his men and other allies, and they went and they freed Lot and all the people. They took them and they freed them, And after that, in the 17th verse, he went to the high priest of Salem, Melchizedek. He was a high priest and a king of Salem, and he gave him 1/10 of the spoils. It's a tithe. He gave him that, and Melchizedek blessed him. Now we go to 15, chapter 15. Yahweh promised Abram a son with Sarah. Sarah was the wife. Promised him a wife, and and here he talks about, I'm going to give you a son, and he's going to, have kids, and the stars, if you could count the stars in the sky, or the sands in the beach, or the coastlines, so your descendants shall be too. Now, what happened was, in chapter 16, Abram and Sarah, they apparently lost patience with Yahweh. Yahweh kept saying, you guys are going to have a son, you're going to have a son, So Sarah concocted a scheme to have her handmaid, Hagar, an Egyptian, have her go in and have a baby with Abram. And that's what happened. And his name was Ishmael. And Ishmael's like the father of the Arabs to this day. He's the father of the Arabs, but he wasn't actually the birthright son, And there was problems, in the situation where Sarah was jealous because Hagar apparently became haughty, and arrogant towards her, and because of the son, and there was a lot of problems between Hagar and Sarah, and Abraham had to sit there and because he still loved Ishmael. Don't get me wrong, he loved Ishmael, but he was in a certain situation actually that Sarah put him in, and sure he went along with it. But in verse 17, Yahweh, he renews the covenant with Abraham. He renews it, and then eventually from Abram he changes the name to Abraham. So we get Abraham now. But he reintroduced the covenant. Now, in chapter 18, Isaac's birth is promised again. It's covenant, but it's promised. And everything goes well there. And as we know later on, I'm just going by chapters. By the way, I want you guys to read this story. I just want to go to the chapters and give you a summary on this situation here. Now, also there's a time when the angels of Yahweh came and sat with them during that promised thing and said he was going to Sodom and Gomorrah and they're going to destroy it. Abram, being a man of Yahweh, he kind of pleaded, if there's 50 there, we kill them? No, we won't kill them. If there's 10 there, we will spare them and stuff like that, But what happened was Lot. In the meantime, Lot, for some reason, became a city dweller. He went and moved to Sodom with all these Sodomites. These fleshly, carnal people. So the angels actually went down there, had a little look at seeing what was going on, and they didn't like what they seen. The wicked men of Sodom wanted the angels to have fun with. And Lot, he said, take my daughters, not these men, these are my guests, don't do this. And the men wanted the angels, who they thought were men. The angels blinded them and told Lot and his family, get out, because we're going to blow this city up. Get out, don't look back. If you look back, you'll be sorry. So, of course, they took off and they ran and they got out of there. And the mistake was that Lot's wife looked back. She became a pillar of salt. So the two daughters and Lot went to a cave, and they thought it was the end of the world, of course. They probably felt rumbles and stuff from the ground, from, the fire, the explosions, whatever was going on. And they went in there and they thought it was the end of the world. But I just want you to read this story because it's kind of an adult theme, about the daughters and Lot. It's an adult theme, and you should just look it up for yourself. So we go back to Abraham. Abraham 21, we'll go skip to that, where Sarah actually has Isaac. And Isaac's name means laughter, because when the angels were there and they mentioned having Isaac as a son in their old age, they laughed, and that's Isaac means laughter, because they laughed. It's kind of like almost like a doubt or something, like, yeah, right. But anyways, they had Isaac, and he grew up alongside Ishmael, and Sarah didn't like it, so she wanted to banish Ishmael and Hagar, which reluctantly Abraham did. And the Lord, Yahweh, was with them in the desert and promised Ishmael was going to have his blessings and everything. And Yahweh loved the lad, so he went his way with Hagar, and Isaac got to stay with mommy and daddy, to grow up to be a man. But there was a time when Abraham was put to the test. He was put to the test with Yahweh to sacrifice him, to kill his only begotten beloved son. And Isaac, Abraham, I'm sure he was, kind of iffy about it, probably questioned, are you really the same Yahweh that I've been talking to? Do you know what you're asking me? But he's going to do it. And before he did it, the angel said, don't lay a hand on that lad, it's just a test, and And when they looked over, there was a ram stuck in a tree or a bush type thing, and they sacrificed and praised and danced and rejoiced over the thing. And that meant a lot to Yahweh, because later on he'd have to sacrifice his only beloved and begotten son, Yeshua. Well, Sarah, in chapter 23, Sarah died, of course, and I'm sure Abraham was upset, but she passed away. So Abraham also in 24 had his servant go and find Isaac a wife, and the wife was Rebekah. He went back, went to a certain area, found the right wife, and it was Rebekah. And Rebekah and Isaac got together. They came together, and of course they had their two sons, Esau and Jacob. Abraham in verse 25, he got remarried. Now it's probably to a concubine he had. He probably had a concubine, Keturah. Keturah was his wife, and they had children too, but not the promised seed. They just had, and it doesn't say how old these children were when Sarah died, because he could have had children with other concubines too. The Bible doesn't say either or, but it's possible that these kids could have been his, and they could have been in their teens or something when Sarah died. But then Abraham, later on, Abraham passes away, of course, and Isaac got his two sons, and the story about that. I'm gonna get into that, another story about the sibling rivalry between Esau and Jacob, and how even today, down to today, there's a family rivalry right there. But anyways, I want to go to the New Testament, see what the New Testament ones talk about Abram, because he's mentioned a lot of times in the New Testament. See, go to John 8. So verse 31. John 8, verse 31. Give me a second here. 8:31. Is this? No, wait a minute. Then said Yeshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. Well, Yeshua, what I'm getting at right here I'm getting at, the Jews were traditionalists, and they claimed they loved Abraham. But Yeshua's trying to tell them, continue in my word. And what is the word? What I'm getting at is, the word is the word of Yahweh, the Bible. That's what it is, plain and simple. And I just wanted to throw that one in there, but anyways, give me a second to go over to right here. Is it Romans 4 right here. Romans 4, chapter 1. What shall we say then about Abraham, our father, as pertaining to the flesh, hath found? For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath therefore the glory, but not before Elohim. For what saith the scripture? Abraham believeth Elohim, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. Now to him that worketh is a reward not reckoned of grace, but of debt. So, and later on, down like in 4 verse 6, he talks about David. Paul's talking about Abraham, then he talks about David. Because the New Testament is fashioned. Their scriptures were the Old Testament, and that's what they're going by, the Old Testament. So Paul also says here in the Galatians. Find Galatians here, and Galatians, what is that? 3. Galatians 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, verse 3. Chapter 3, verse 6. Even as Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was accounted unto him for righteousness. No, Ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. That was verse 7. Verse 8, and the scripture, foreseeing that Elohim would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the good news unto Abraham, saying, in these shall all nations be blessed. And then they which be of faith are blessed with faithful Abraham. So Abraham was the father of the faithful. He was a father. He was a father of multitude. See, try to go back to Hebrews here. See if I can find Hebrews. Oops, I went a little too far here. Hebrews. Takes a little while. This is a big book full of information. So there we go. Hebrews 7. What was that? 7:1 chapter 7, 1 through 10. 7:1 through 10, Hebrews. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. That's what it means. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of Elohim, abideth a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the Patriarch Abraham gave a tithing of the spoils. And verily, they say, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes from the people, according to the law that is of their brethren, through they come through out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there is received them, and whom it is witnessed that he liveth. And as I may go, so say Levi also, who receiveth tithes paid to pay tithes in Abraham. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. So Levi was in the loins of Abraham. He was a future, child, and he was in the loins of Abraham. So check up on these verses with me and read the story of Abraham in Genesis. I'll go to James. We skip right over to James here. That'd be James 2:22 to 23. 22 to 23 right here. And because James even talks about him, like I said, it was scripture. 2:22 to 23. Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by the works was the faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Yahweh. He was a friend of Yahweh. That's a great one of the greatest honors you can have, is if Yahweh considers you a friend, not just a son, but a friend. Now, I'm going to conclude with Acts. Go back to Acts 7, 1 through 8. Let's see, 7. Oops. Okay, and this was when Stephen was before the scribes and Pharisees, the great assembly, the Sanhedrin. He was before he was martyred and got stoned. He made a story, like a little history of their people, and this is going to be 1 through 8. Then said the high priest, are these things so? And he said, Men, brethren, and fathers, hearken unto Elohim. The glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Charan, and said unto him, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and come unto the land which I will show you. Then he came out of the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt at Charan, and from hence, when his father was dead, he removed him from this land whereon you now dwell, and he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on, yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child. And Elohim spoke unto this wise, that his seed should sojourn in the strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years, talking about the children of Israel in Egypt before the Exodus, or up to it too. And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will be judged, said Elohim. And after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begot Isaac, and circumcised him on the 8th day. And Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot 12 patriarchs, and one of them was the tribe of Judah, the Jews. 12 patriarchs and 12 tribes. They branched out like a tree, different branches, different limbs. So Abraham, he's a founding father of 3 religions. What we call today is Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. He's highly favored, and that's he is a father of many people. Technically, the Arabs are considered, they're not talked about, but they're technically Hebrews too, because Hebrew come from one of Abraham's, fathers from generations back. But, Abraham was, he did right in Yahweh's eyes, and Yahweh keeps his conditional, his promises. You have unconditional promise, you have conditional promises, but he kept his promise. But the children of Israel didn't actually keep their promises, like when they was at the mountain of Yahweh, in Saudi Arabia. And, since then, they've been a whole mess. They've been a mess, always getting punished for doing wrong, because they're expected to be role models and ambassadors to the Gentile nations. And Abraham, he did his part, he did his part. He was blessed, it takes a lot of guts, a lot of belief, a lot of faith to do what he did, but he did it. And we praise Abraham, Father Abraham, for that. Thank you. And that's all I want to say about Abraham. But please like my video, hit that like bell, hit notifications, please subscribe, comment below whatever you want to talk about Abraham, watch my other videos, share it with everybody, and thank you again. And as always, till we meet again, peace out and shalom. Bye.